All right, welcome to task 4. We are going to pause on thinking about sine and cosine. We are going to get back to them after I talk about kind of the foundations of what we call a unit circle. A unit circle is really just a circle with a radius of 1. So the length from the center to the outside is 1. This would be, essentially the point 1, 0. The thing about a unit circle is that instead of being broken up in degrees, we actually can break it up by what's called radians. Radians, we can convert kind of back and forth between degrees and radians, which is what we're going to do at the end of the lesson today. But I want to at least show what each segment of, or each pie slice is kind of a measurement of. Essentially, in a unit circle, one full circle is equal to 2 pi. We're going to use pi a lot. Radians are using the measurement of pi. So when I go all the way around this circle, I come to 2 pi. 1/2 circle is then just pi. So going from this point all the way over to this point is equal to pi. And I'm talking about circumference is what I'm measuring. So all the way around the circle is 2 pi, halfway around the circle is just pi. So again, those are measurements of circumference, and that's what we're going to focus on today, and breaking this down into segments of pi. There's lots of different segments here. So I'm going to break it down in a couple different ways. Maybe I'll zoom out a little bit. So I can break this into where pi is worth 3 segments. And so in this situation, each slice here, this is 1/3 pi, 2/3 pi, and a total pi. So in this case, each pi slice is worth 1/3 pi, or if I want to translate that to degrees, it'd be 60 degrees. And if I were to go all the way around, so I'd have 60 degrees is 1/3 pi, 120 degrees is 2/3 pi, 180 degrees is pi. Let me zoom in on the rest of this down here. We can do the bottom half. We can keep going. 4/3 pi would give me a total of, where am I at now? 240 degrees. If I keep going around my circle 300 degrees, I'm at 5/3 pi. And if I go all the way at 360 degrees, I'm back to 2 pi. I've made a full circle, 6/3 pi or 2 pi. And so I can cut up these pi slices into just pi over 3. Now I'm going to take these and transfer them to my bigger circle so you know exactly where those pi slices are. Pi over 3 is located in this first pi slice. This is 30 degrees. I'm sorry, 60 degrees. Where's 60 degrees at? Da, da, da. Up here is 60 degrees. Up here is 60 degrees. 1/3 of the way around my circle is up here. So this is my pi over 3 spot. 120 degrees is over here. And so this is my 2/3 pi spot. Pi is over here at 180 degrees. That's what half a circle is. And if I were to keep going down to 240 degrees, I would land down here. And this would be my 4/3 pi. And 300 degrees would be my 5/3 pi. And then this, of course, is 360 degrees by the time I get back. So 1/3, 2/3, pi, 4/3, 5/3, 2 pi. All right, those are my versions of pi that all are divided by 3. we're going to talk about a few more segments here, specifically the segments where if I were to take pi and split it into 4 slices. So here's pi, here's 0. If I'm going from here to here and split it into 4 slices, each of these slices is 1/4 pi, or pi over 4. Pi over 4. And the amount of degrees it takes to get from 0 to 4 and pi over 4 is 45 degrees. 45 degrees. So this is 45 degrees. I have 90 degrees and 135 degrees, and then all the way back over at 180 degrees. And so if I were to break that up by pi, pi over 4, I could write this as 2 pi over 4, but that's the same thing as 1/2 pi. And then I have 3/4 pi. And I'm going to actually continue my circle around just like I did over here all the way on the back end. 5/4 pi. And if I go another 45 degrees, that gives me 225 degrees. Down here at the bottom, we're at 270 degrees. We could call that, 6/4 pi, but I think I'm going to actually rewrite it as 3 pi over 2 is the number that we'll use down at the bottom there. So maybe not 6/4 pi, but 3 pi over 2 and make it simplified. And then 7/4 pi. If I add 45 degrees to that, I get 315 degrees. And then we're all the way back at 360 degrees. And so we're back at 2 pi. So pi and 2 pi will always stay the same. But if I'm cutting it down into 45 degree segments, those 45 degree segments are each worth pi over 4. Let's fill that in at the top up here. 1/4 of pi is up at this point right here. Pi over 4, 45 degrees. I keep going up to 90 degrees. That's my pi over 2 spot. I go over to my 135 degrees. That's my 3 pi over 4 spot. 180 degrees is already marked as pi. So let's go ahead and go all the way down to 225 degrees. That is 5 pi over 4. And I come down to the bottom down here. This was 270 degrees. This is where we said, oh, it's 6 pi over 4, but let's reduce it down to 3 pi over 2. And then my last spot, 315 degrees, we call that 7 pi over 4, because 8 pi, we're actually back at the beginning, 360 degrees. That's my 2 pi spot. All right, the last few blanks we have to fill in, there's really one here, one here, one here, and one here. Those are the last couple blanks we're going to fill in because those are each a 6th pi spot. If I go from 0 to pi and break it up into 6 slices, that's pi over 6, and that is actually 30 degrees apiece. So if I were to label this 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, 120 degrees, 150 degrees, 180 degrees, I already have measurements for 60, 90, and 120. Those are already up here. 60 degrees is pi over 3, 90 degrees is pi over 2, 120 is 2 pi over 3. I already have those. What I don't have labeled is these two spots over here. 30 degrees we're going to call pi over 6. And 150 degrees, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pi over 6. So let's fill in those two spots up on our unit circle. So 30 degrees is pi over 6. And over here at 150 degrees, that is 5 pi over 6. My last two spots on the bottom of the circle, if I keep going around 180 degrees, I'm going to get 210 degrees, 240 degrees, 270 degrees, 300, 330, and then we're back at 360. The only two spots I need though are these, because 240, 270, and 300, I already have those. 240 is 4 pi over 3, 270 is 3 pi over 2, 300 is 5 pi over 3. The only two pieces I need are 210 and 330. So if I were to count up how many slices of 6 as 6 they are, that is 7 pieces. So 7 pi over 6 is 210. In order to keep counting, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 pi over 6 is my 330 degrees. So let's transfer those two pieces. 7 pi over 6 is over here at 210 degrees. And 11 pi over 6 is over here at 330 degrees. So this is our basic unit circle. These are the measurements that we're going to use over and over again. What we're going to do is start converting degrees into radians. So on the back side, if you flip over to the back side, we have this measurement of 30 degrees. 30 degrees, I can then look at my unit circle and say, all right, 30 degrees in radians is pi over 6. 270 degrees. What's 270 degrees in radians? I can just go to my unit circle, go around 270 degrees. I'm landing at 3 pi over 2. That is my amount of radians, 3 pi over 2 radians. What gets tricky is when we start doing negatives. Negatives, we're going to move backwards on our unit circle. What I mean by backwards is we're going to move clockwise. And so if I'm going negative 60 degrees, well, if I'm going forward 60 degrees, I'm moving pi over 3 radians, but I want to go negative 60 degrees. So I want to go negative 1/3, which actually negative 60 degrees, 360 to 300, lands me at 5 pi over 3. So my answer for this one is 5 pi over 3. Negative 90 degrees. Negative 90. If I was going forward 90, I'm going up half a pi. But if I'm going negative 90, I want to go back half a pi. That lands me here at 270 degrees. 360 minus 90 is 270. And I land at 3 pi over 2. I'm going to do two more. 45 degrees and negative 45 degrees. 45 degrees forward, 45 degrees forward is pi over 4. That's nice and easy. Pi over 4. But if I want to go negative 45 degrees, I want to go back 1/4 pi. Back 1/4 pi lands me at 7 pi over 4. And so that is my answer, 7 pi over 4. The goal of this back side of this paper is to just get familiar with our unit circle. Your job is to finish all 25 of these questions.